are you?
I am just local sort of missionary chap, spreading the good word and all that.
Oh, fuck you, you cool, fuck you, I'm out.
Yo. It's Biff Sweetwater. We are in the fucking zone. We're not in the bone zone, though. We're in the spreading the word zone. What up, y'all? Spreading the word with Biff Sweetwater back in the booth. Live in effect, yo. Got my fucking Big E pumping. I'm fucking jamming out. I haven't smoked some weed in a while. I'm gonna go smoke some weed real soon, just so I can get my zone back. I love y'all. Thank you for listening. Bless all of you Death Squad soldiers out there. I fucking love it. It's powerful shit. And the IDC, if you're out there in the IDC, that's the Inspired Disorder Collective. A lot of cool motherfuckers over there too, man. Izzy Rock holding it down at Izzy Rock on Twitter. Sick motherfucker. There's so many guys. At Postal Poet, he's got a great one. He's doing this podcast about education. I don't know what it's called. I think it's Postal Poet is the podcast. I don't know. Just type in Postal Poet in iTunes and in the iStore or whatever, and you'll find it. And don't forget to type in Biff Sweetwater while you're there. Type in Biff Sweetwater and find out about spreading the word. You know, Biff Sweetwater spreading the word. I'm trying to build this baby up. We got the gear now. We just need to get the guests. I'm looking for. I got a lot of guests, but I want some like higher profile people. We got the I'm here live in Vancouver. We got the comedy festival starting next month in February. So I'm hoping we'll get somebody on there. I'm gonna definitely go see Pete Holmes. I'm gonna go see, I don't know, whoever's coming to town. OBW, Mr. Walsh, Brendan Walsh. Hilarious comics are all coming. Reggie Watts is gonna be here, people. Come on, everyone's gonna be here. So yeah, man, I'm hopefully gonna get them on the mic for a minute, 5 minutes, whatever I can get with them. That'll be dope as fuck. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Brian Callen's coming at the end of the month. I'm gonna go see that show. Definitely, everyone go support live stand-up comedy. Go to the shows, man. Go see these guys. Because if you like them on a podcast, yo, they're fucking funnier in person. All right. I met Duncan Trussell not too long ago, right before he had his ball cut off, his ball removed, whatever, the cancerous thing that was holding back his frothy loads. And he's brilliant man. He's so funny too, and his closer is I don't know. There's nothing like it. I've never seen a closer like that before. It's brilliant. And I'm not even going to spoil any of it. So go see Duncan Trussell live. Go see Ari Shafrir. Go see fucking Tom Segura. Go see Sam Tripoli. Go see fucking Joey Coco Diaz. He can't come to Canada, unfortunately, so I have not seen that motherfucker yet. You know? But, yeah, man, there's so many comics. Pete Holmes. Go see all these there's so many people, man. Just like, I know if you're a fan of a podcast, go watch them perform, because they're great. You know, and they're inspiring me to go do stand-up. You know, I've done it. I did a couple open mics. I ain't shit, yo. I ain't shit. But I did a couple open mics, and you know, I'm working on some jokes. You know, I got some jokes. I got some jokes, from fucking Canada. I got some fucking jokes, And yo, go watch Nick Kroll's show, man. I just watched that the other day. I had some brilliant sketch about a Canadian high school. It just made me piss myself. If you're Canadian, you'll super love it, or if you're American, whatever, you'll still love it. It's just Nick Kroll, man. Nick Kroll is hilarious. Watch him on the League. You'll just go. So many good comics, man. I'll just keep rambling about comics. Go support comedy. You know. Go out there, people, and create things that you love. Be fascinating, interesting people. I love you. Peace. Spread the word.
Welcome to Spreading the Word with Biff Sweetwater. I am your host, Satan. I am filling in for Biff Sweetwater for a minute. He's feeling a little ill, so I said I'd come host. I owe him a favor. Welcome.
Get the hell... Yo, Satan, get out of my show, bro. I don't want you...
You said I could be on...
I don't want you here, dude. You're a fucking loser.
Hey, you can't talk to me like that.
Dude, I'll fucking whoop your bitch at... Yo, get out of my fucking studio. Get out of my podcast.
I'm coming back. You can't do this to me. I'm a Satan. I'm a Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, fuck you, bitch. I don't roll with Satan like that, yo. I don't know. He just creeped up in here, yo. He's asking me for a joint, man. And you know what he asked for? He asked for, oh, can I get a cigarette? Can I get a lighter? Can I get a paper? You know, a joker smoker. That's what we call him, man. Fuck you, Satan. Anyway, I'm here with I'm here with nobody. I'm here by myself, but I'm recording this. This is the intro to the Cryptozoology podcast with Moose Davies. That's my brother from another mother. Moose Davies in the building, y'all. And we do a little Coast to Coast FM. East of the Rockies, call 1-800-449-8686. West of the Rockies, dial 1-800-449-8686. And wildcard line, call 1-800-448686. That's right, the number is the same for all the lines. We're leaving a guest special line open. If you are Satan, please call in. Remember, this line is for Lucifer only. Lucifer only, people. Thank you. Just realized I wasn't recording at all. I wasn't recording until about a minute ago.
That's fucking brutal.
I know. I was so mad. I looked at the thing. I was like, wait a second. I didn't hit the record button.
That's brutal.
Oh, it's all right, man. It's all right. 30 minutes of conversation you guys have missed out on. That was really good conversation. It's a shame that you missed it. But it's mostly been Bigfoot stuff, and yeah, fuck you guys. I'm an idiot. I fucked it up. We talked a lot about Bigfoot and some cryptos. We're talking cryptozoology. This is spreading the word. I am Biff Sweetwater. My guest today is Moose Davies of the band Powdered Hoof and many others that I cannot name yet.
Hello there.
Meow.
Hello and good day.
So sorry, because you're in the middle of that people living in the wild and out of society thing when I realized that. So
yeah, I mean, we could take it from there wherever you want. Wherever you want.
yeah. Well, I think well, maybe we'll jump back to that. I like the Bigfoot. Let's talk about some other things other than Bigfoots.
Sure. Like that's probably my forte. There are some other creatures out there. Like again, I mentioned the orangutan deck.
Orangutan deck. That was the.
Yeah, if you Google that, there's lots of info on that. It's very interesting.
Can you spell that?
I believe it's O-R-A-N-G.
O-R-A-N-G.
And then separate word, P-E-N-D-E-K.
P-E-N-D-E-K?
E-K, yeah. No, that's it's Indonesian for a short person. Like orangutan is man of the woods. That's what that actually translates to, I believe.
Orang.
So, a relative.
So it's like orange without the E. Pen deck. Pen. P-E-N-D-E-K. Holy, I'm Google imaging this guy.
He's interesting.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, man. I remember Joe Rogan was talking about this, like, on a pod. He's obsessed with these weird things, too.
Well, there's a couple of, like, really renowned cryptozoologists that are over there pretty much year-round right now, like, trying to find this guy.
He looks cool. He looks like he looks like a big, hairy, monkey hippie guy.
Well, what's interesting is he's supposed to look kind of like an orangutan, but like he actually walks around on two legs most of the time, and that's why it's like supposed to be some other species that is like very closely related to hominids, and it's difficult to say. I mean, there's lots of different information coming in from different scientists. So there's a lot of scientists out there that truly believe this thing's real. Like they're out there and they're completely convinced. Like they're telling the scientific world that they've seen it, and like they need more people out there studying it, and they need more people out there trying to protect the forests and stuff, and that it's like a real thing. So it's probably like the most interesting hominid type crypto that I think is really on the waves right now, as far as what's hot and what's interesting. I think that's got to be number one.
We need some like
so much scientific data and evidence for it to be real.
We need some rich billionaire for it to like back some black ops groups to like, you know, because I swear I'd be a part of like black ops Greenpeace, where we like go like covert like stealth boats and like take out whaling vessels and fuck up like all these people that are like cutting down the forests, you know.
Oh yeah, all that stuff's starting to happen already, man. Like, believe me, there are teams out there that are doing exactly what you're talking about.
Really? Like, how do I join? I want to join these groups, these covert eco-savers.
It's happening, man. Like, they're in Africa. There's these, they have big problems with, like, bushmeat, right? So that they have...
Oh, yeah. I just watched a special about that. They're like, the Congo is huge on bushmeat.
It's horrible. It's a horrible situation, and on every way you look at it. I mean, for one, a lot of the time, it's just these natives, you know, that are living in the woods. They've never lived in society. They've hunted for food their whole life.
Yeah, it's the locals, yeah.
They always did.
Bushmeat is like a specialty for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, bushmeat's pretty much anything, right? Like, I mean, they'll get like a rat, they'll get like a monkey, they'll get like whatever they can. It's just bushmeat, right? Whatever it is. And the problem is, like, they're very indiscriminative. Like, they'll just kill anything they find because, like, they have to. They need to eat. The problem is actually the pet trade comes into play here in a big way, because a lot of people, you know, I mean, every society, especially high society, we'll say, where there's a lot of money to throw around, everyone wants, like, animals, you know, and it's really weird. It's like they want to, like, obtain these creatures and lock them up and keep them and watch them, and like, I have fish, you know, I've had turtles and lizards and snakes and like snakes, and you've had
everything.
There are some pets out there that are great, and I'm not going to be one to say that, you know, a small pet snake, something that grows a couple of feet, nothing wrong with that. But we got people out there buying like 30-foot pythons and stuff, and it's like, that's just insane. Like, it's insane. So if people are going to do that, then think about all these little monkeys and all these little creatures. There's a market for that. And these guys, it's not just about bushmeat. It's about how many of them are being taken out of the environment for this pet trade, and it doesn't leave enough for the people that need to eat. And then the people that need to eat, they're the ones that are getting like the slap on the wrist. I mean, I'm saying that lightly, you know, a lot of these guys just get shot on the spot, you know, and that's it. These eco teams we were talking about, there are guys out there that they hunt these guys down, and they just machine gun them down into the forest. Like, that's it. See ya. And these guys are just natives. They got spears. Like, there's no way they can fight against these guys. And it's really a sad situation. I mean, they should be going after the pet trade, is what I think. It's a horrible industry. I mean, it could be a good industry if it was wrapped with education and respect, but a lot of times there's absolutely none of that. You know, it's an idiot coming into a store, give me a snake, and, you know, they sell them a snake, and it's like, it's going to get fucking 30 feet long, but they don't care. And like, the guy selling it, he doesn't care. Here, keep him in a 20-gallon tank. You know, and for those of you that don't know, that's like 2 feet by 1 foot. You know, and you're going to put this giant beast in there. He's going to grow out of it. Then he's going to, like, attack your child, maybe eat it. And then you're going to kill the snake. And then maybe even, like, go to jail. Because it's your negligence, right? And why to buy a big snake in the first place? And I think that the whole pet industry is just ridiculous, how they even allow it. And then they got this gun control shit going on. And it's like, animals that shouldn't be in people's homes kill more people than probably guns. Like, at least, you know, dangerous guns.
Yeah.
That may not be true in some countries, but maybe. In some countries it is. And maybe not certain places, but, like, people get killed by their snakes. People get killed by, you know, wild animals and stuff all the time just because they're getting too close or whatever. Like, there's no respect for animals, is what I'm trying to say. Like, there really isn't. And there's very few people in the world, like, the percentage has got to be minuscule of people that do care and that actually want to do something about it. And it's a daunting task when you think about it. When you're all alone, it's like, what do I do to help these creatures? And I think that's why I gave up on that a lot in recent years, and I've kind of leaned more towards animals that may not exist, because whether they do or not doesn't matter. And if we hurt them, well, nobody's really seen them. I mean, there's been a few people that have said they've shot Bigfoot and stuff, but I don't think that's really true.
Never anything proven.
I hate the idea of exploiting creatures, and it definitely gets me a little bit riled up.
Well, that's almost definitely going to happen if they find, like, one of these, like, Bigfoot.
Absolutely. Like, I'll tell you right now, if I found him, I don't think I'd tell anyone. Like, maybe a couple of my close friends, and that would be it. I would never expose it to the world. No way. Like, and I think that most people out there that are really in the business, they're not going to tell anyone. They just want to know for themselves. And that's it.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of people out there that have seen it, and have seen it for real.
Did you ever see that,
I believe it's real in a way, but, like, I'm still skeptical. But I do believe that the possibilities with all the evidence, it's probably real.
Did you ever see that, what was it? It was a fucking... God damn it. I'm such a stoner. I have no fucking memory. Never mind. Come back to me on that one.
Harry and the Hendersons?
Oh, I was going to say something about Harry and the Hendersons. I was like, yeah, you like protect it. You wouldn't let them... yeah, that was a beautiful film. Cause
I remember seeing that in the theater, you know?
Yeah, man.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, well, that's one of those things that makes me think, like, a lot of these sightings could be fake, because that fucking Bigfoot and Harry and the Hendersons was fucking real as fuck.
Yeah, I know. What was that, in the 80s?
Yeah, mid-80?
It was brilliant work on that Bigfoot. He looked real.
I love that Bigfoot. That Bigfoot was amazing.
I'm pretty sure most of that was, like, animatronic and stuff, like, in his face. But
yeah, the facial movements, yeah. It was beautiful, whatever it was. I don't know. I like to think that guy's out there somewhere.
Yeah, CGI just doesn't do the same thing, you know? Like, it's still cool, but it's not like when they use all that, like, real stuff.
The closest I've seen to an animal is Life of Pi, because the tiger in that movie is completely CGI. And, like, that's the closest I think...
I haven't even seen this movie yet.
I mean, like, I don't necessarily agree with the message of the film. It's like, but it is an entertaining movie and book. You should, I don't know, either one. But like, if you watch the movie, the idea is, the premise is a kid is stuck on a lifeboat with a tiger, and like. I was like, okay, like, and someone was like, yeah, the tiger CGI. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm sure in some scenes it is, especially when he's like really close to the boy or something like that. But then it turns out, no, they're like, no, the entire movie, every shot of the tiger's completely CGI. There's no real tiger ever used. And I was like, whoa. Wow, that's really good. Because at one point, it's jumping off the lifeboat into the water, and like it gets wet, and there's all these things taken into account. And I was like, damn, they could fool you. They could fool you so many ways. Oh shit, I just remembered what I was gonna say. So if they did capture a Bigfoot, I was gonna ask you, did you ever see that show, The Invisible Man?
The show or the movie?
No, there's like some show that came out in like the early 2000s. It was really cheesy. I think it was on Sci-Fi.
I probably saw it, but I don't know. I can't say.
It's like based on the old short story or whatever, The Invisible Man. But the reason they're able to make him invisible is because they caught these fucking Sasquatches, and these Sasquatches had this like thing in them that was like some kind of natural cloaking ability that allowed them to like go invisible. You know, it's like it's just a funny idea. Like I think it took them like 2 or 3 seasons in to reveal like the reason we can make you invisible is because we've caught like fucking Bigfoot and we've taken this thing from Bigfoot and like put it in you, and like now you can go invisible.
Well, I mean, it's a very interesting thought, and
it's it's Hollywood.
But I'll tell you, there's definitely something about them that allows them to be elusive, And I think if you think about just the history of man, how destructive we are, how violent we are, we're also very clever at making tools, and we can pretty much conquer any environment we want. And I think even thousands of years ago, people would be surprised how advanced we were even then, in our environment, and how we could adapt. And I think that if there was a hominid species that was near us or in proximity to us, while we were, growing with us, evolving, we'll say,
yeah,
they would probably evolve very quickly to know, stay the hell away from those guys.
Yeah, you're going to be seeing, these people, you're off in the woods and you see these people, building their version of a society, and you're like, fuck this, we don't want a part of these guys, let's just keep steering clear.
Well, also think about in history, there's probably so many, we hear all kinds of folklore and stories, and especially, that goes way back in Europe, Eastern Europe, right into, Russia, and all of that area where people were confronting these giant beasts all the time, thousands of years ago, and we were hunting them and killing them, and they were hunting us and killing us, and if we think way back, let's talk 20, 30, 40,000 years ago, maybe a little more, who's to say how many hominid species lived in those areas?
Yeah.
And it's really hard to say that, nobody really knows. I think they know for sure there was Homo erectus or Neanderthal or whatever, and then of course there was this, like you mentioned before we got the recording working there, I think it was Gigantopithecus.
Yeah, the Gigantopithecus.
And that right there,
that's a real thing.
Because we got nothing to know that Gigantopithecus is alive. I think they got a few teeth and maybe a jawbone. They got no skulls. They got no skeletons. They don't really know. That's very little evidence. Not to say that we have Bigfoot teeth or anything like that, because as far as I know, we don't. Maybe someone's hiding some somewhere. But with
locked within a cave.
How they discovered him is amazing. There was a doctor, a scientist. I can't remember his name now, but I'm sure I could Google it in a second here and get it out there. But what he did was he went to he went to China, and he was looking in the medicines, in the medicine markets where they would have all these different kinds of stuff. And I don't know, I've never been to China myself, but I have seen documentaries about it, of course, where they have these medicine shops, and it's just everything you can imagine from the natural world in this shop. Everything. You got tiger penises, you got shark fins, you got seahorse soup, everything you can imagine. And what he found, and I think it was in the
sorry to interject. That whole thing with the penises, that's just I think that's all bullshit. These fucking Asian guys are just so upset with their small cocks.
No, it's absolutely bullshit. The whole thing's bullshit. There's no evidence that anything like that has any medicinal value at all.
And shark fin soup is gross too. Sorry, I just have to say shark fin soup is gross, and anyone that orders that should be have their arms and legs cut off and then told to go back to walking on land.
I'm not as violent an advocate on that, but I would agree that anyone that's eating that soup for whatever reason of your own ego or whatever it is, you got to get over that.
John Pies, this one goes out to you.
And say hello to having a little more respect for the natural world. You know how many sharks they kill a year?
Yeah, dude, I watched the documentary. There's a guy from Toronto, bro, a guy from our hometown. He made a great documentary about them killing sharks and stuff, all in Costa Rica and around the world. But and that's a country I used to claim was my second home, and to find out that they're murdering fucking sharks and crazy and that's all they do. They take the shark, they cut the fin off the top, and they cut the fins off the side, and they cut the tail off, and then they throw the shark back into the ocean. They don't even do anything with the body of the shark, and then you see the shark float to the bottom of the ground and die, or sink to the bottom and die, because it can't do anything, because it needs its fins to move. And now it doesn't have them, and now it just floats to the bottom, or sinks to the bottom and dies. It's fucking disgusting. All for you to have a bowl of not so great soup. Relax, kill a fucking chicken.
Everything in that soup too tastes great except for the shark fin.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, why even have it in there? Everything else is great. Yeah, exactly. You want to throw some chicken in there? You know, that's definitely something that's a resource that we're not destroying. There's no lack of chicken. The shark numbers are definitely dropping.
They're throwing shark fins into chicken broth, and then charging like $50 a bowl because that stuff is super expensive.
You gotta boil it for like days before you can eat it.
Yeah, that stuff's really expensive, man. John Pies used to get that at the Chinese restaurant a bunch.
But the doctor that discovered Gigantopithecus, he was Rolf von Koningswald. He was an anthropologist, and it was in 1935 when he discovered the first tooth in one of those Chinese markets, where they were grinding them up into powder to put into like some kind of medicine. So imagine how many fossils and how much amazing stuff these guys took and just ground up into bits for thousands of years.
Fucking goddamn Chinese.
Just the fluke that he even found it. And we know that for sure the Gigantopithecus existed. And some people believe he still does. I don't personally think it's Gigantopithecus. It could be maybe a descendant, but this is, I think the last one that they know of for sure was about 100,000 years ago. That's a long time for something to evolve from that, I believe. And I think our idea of evolution is growing to a point where we see that it can work really quickly sometimes. And it doesn't take millions of years for something to turn into something else.
Oh, no, not at all. The Congo, in less than 100 years. What was that? There's that area of the Congo. They clear cut a bunch of it, but then like they cut like the rainforest off from one part or something. I forgot. Like trying to develop that country, they went in there and chopped a bunch of shit down, and like they took away the waterlands from these like other. Or no, they made it a flood. They flooded this area that wasn't flooded before, and then all the animals that were like kind of stuck in that area all adapted and changed, and then, like now there's all these different versions of these animals. It's crazy. Like these crazy gazelles that can now swim, and these other animals in there. Like it's a small section of the Congo. Like I'd have to Google it for sure, but that's evolution in rapid order.
Absolutely, and I mean, if evolution couldn't speed up when it needed to, there would be no life on Earth at all.
Yeah, exactly.
So many amazingly destructive events on Earth that, if that was the case, I think everything would have died. But because things could adapt and because things slowly could, get used to their new environment, even if it was rapidly changing, then they would rapidly change to adhere to it. And I think that's pretty. I think it's pretty interesting, and it definitely puts a lot of possibility into the idea of there being a Bigfoot, or even maybe not Bigfoot, but just another type of hominid species still alive today.
Well, wasn't there a hobbit creature recently found that was proven to be real, like some kind of hobbit-like thing?
Yeah, that's Homo floresiensis, I believe is how they pronounce it. And it was, I think, a Neanderthal.
It was a split off of the Neanderthal
theory that happens with evolution, and you kind of mentioned it before, where they had cut up this part of the Congo away, and these animals kind of change in that area. Well, what happens on islands a lot of the time is during the, let's say 100 or 200,000 years ago, a lot of the Indonesian islands were just forming. Some of them were just breaking apart from each other. Some of them were just rising up into the ocean. And lots of different creatures were getting segregated into little islands, smaller and smaller, and they would change. Like there was small elephants, small rhinos, and everything just kind of devolved into smaller things.
Weird, because they had less land.
What happens with reptiles is interesting. It's they kind of go the opposite direction. They start growing bigger. And that's why the Komodo dragon is so big. He's just a monitor lizard. I got a monitor lizard living here with me. He lives freely, by the way, for anyone who's interested. He doesn't have a cage.
Roams the apartment wild.
Yeah, he actually takes up most of my apartment, and and
he actually has the bedroom, and you take the rest of the place.
No, he's out here all the time.
Oh, is he out there too?
He's usually out here. He's actually out here now, just crawling around.
What is that thing about reptiles too, that they can keep growing if they don't have something limiting their space or something? I don't know what it exactly is. You know.
Well, there's lots of theories on that, and I have seen it firsthand. Like if you keep a snake, like a species of snake, like maybe not a giant type, but let's say a small python species, a common name for them would be like a children's python or something like that. They only grow a couple feet, 2 or 3 feet. But if you keep them in a really small cage, I've seen this happen with there's people that breed them that I know. They'll keep the babies in one container for a year or so before they're selling them off, and they stay small. And it's really interesting. Like they do stay smaller. Like you can take one of them and put it in a separate cage, and they'll be the same age, but the other one will just grow bigger. And then if you give them more space, they kind of max out at a certain point. But it is believed that all reptiles continue to grow for their whole life. So they're not really, not like a mammal, we get to a certain size and then we kind of start shrinking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we go back down.
But snakes and lizards, and especially crocodilians, they just continue to grow as they get older. So you get these crocodiles sometimes, they're 80 or 100 years old. They're absolutely huge, huge. Now you've been down south too. We were in Hilton Head that time, and
oh yeah, boy.
I saw one alligator there. He must have been 14 feet long, and I've never seen anything that big ever. So he had to be the biggest one I've ever seen, and the fact that they even get that big, it would have to be that they just have to keep growing.
Yeah, I seen a few caimans when I was down living in Costa Rica. There's I think about, I don't know how big they would be. I'd say they're maybe 7 or 8 feet long, maybe a little longer. It's hard to tell because they're down in the creek, the creek or the stream or whatever. But then occasionally down there, shit floods, and then where you are is where they are. It's it's all level because it's all flooded, and then you gotta swim around with snakes and caimans around you. But they're never too big. But those motherfuckers, those ancient dinosaurs, man.
Oh, those still hurt you though. You don't want to. I'm telling you right now, anyone, if you're ever near an alligator or a crocodilian of any type, and it's in its own element. Even a 3 or 4 foot long,
they can run.
They'll take your hand off.
Yeah,
your hand's coming off.
And they move fast. They move fast on ground and in the water, so don't fucking play.
It's not a game.
Yeah, dude, I was just.
Alligators, but I don't try anything bigger than 5. Just for my size, if I wrestled anything bigger than that, it would probably get me.
Yeah, dude, I just looked up the Homo florensis, the little hobbit guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is true. I'm just reading some article, but it's the bones of a race of tiny primitive people who used stone tools to hunt pony-sized elephants and battle huge Komodo dragons were discovered on the Indonesian island of Flores in 2004.
Really real.
Oh, just that sentence makes me so happy. I'm picturing these little hobbits riding these tiny elephant creatures and fighting Komodo dragons.
There's actually a documentary done by some anthropologists on the BBC. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but they actually do a full model of it, and they build them up and build his face and everything, and I guess it's a girl one actually. So they build her up into this little creature, and they're standing beside it, and it's incredible, how tiny this little thing is, and it's a full-grown woman, and with its spears and all that stuff, it's incredible. They had fire. They used fire. They were hunters.
Yeah, they had tools.
What's even more interesting about them is modern men lived alongside them. So they would hide away in caves and stuff, and we'd be in some other cave, down the hill or something, and then we called it cross paths all the time.
That's so crazy.
A lot of stories and legends could come from that. And another thing is, during I guess it would have been the 16th and 17th centuries, when they were first sending settlers to go over there and like settle some of those islands, they were coming back with like the most incredible stories about like little creatures and little men and stuff like that, and of course dragons, and which a lot of it turned out to be real. You know, like they did have Komodo dragons, they did have like all kinds of small creatures, like the little elephant I believe went extinct probably a few thousand years ago.
That sucks. I wanna ride a pony-sized elephant.
Like, who knows? Maybe there was still some around, and it's hard to say. And even to find bones, to find fossils like that is really an incredible thing. It's such a fluke to even get one. And you have to have the perfect conditions. You have to have. I mean, they were finding these bones in a cave, by the way, and they're still digging layers down as we speak, probably right now. Looking for more, and they've gone down. They've found like I believe 3 or 4 separate individuals by now. But what's interesting is if they weren't as old as they were, they wouldn't have gotten buried in the cave the way they did, and their bones would have been taken away and scattered around by predators, and we never would have found them. So it was a very lucky thing, and that's another thing going back to any hominid like Bigfoot or anything like that. The reason why we don't find any bones is, if something dies in the woods, it's very rapidly dismembered and
by nature. Like the birds come, the bugs come, the little rodents come. Like everyone gets a piece of it.
Yeah, and then you got the bones sitting there, and like, even the bones get eaten.
Yeah,
the porcupines, they'll come and eat it. Even deer.
Yeah, man.
Chew on bones.
And if this creature is real and has some higher, and you'd assume it would have a little more intelligence. I mean, for Christ's sakes, elephants bury their dead, all right? So it's really not out of the realm of possibility that if this thing did exist, that they're burying their own dead as well and taking them back, or maybe they're burning them, whatever they're doing. They might have their own funeral customs,
Absolutely, and I would say that most cryptozoologists, the respected cryptozoologists out there, believe that Bigfoot does bury its dead, and that they probably have an element of society that we take for granted. We don't realize how clever they probably are. They probably have rules about all kinds of stuff, and especially according to how look how we live. We got so many rules and regulations that we set for ourselves. They probably have the same thing. Just in their own world. It's obviously different. But a lot of people, especially the native cultures, believe they're very spiritual and that they have the capacity to have, love and hate and all the same stuff we do. And they're probably very similar to us. And I think that that's what makes them so intriguing. I think people kind of want to have a cousin in this world, and I think that would help us all feel like we know a little bit more about where we came from.
And that's the great mystery.
That's a lot of what it is, though. And even if you read the history books, a lot of what's in the history books is crap.
Well, the history books don't know fucking shit.
Some people, they read different stuff for history, I'm not going to, knock religion or anything. I mean, for me personally, I think...
Already been there and done that on this podcast, my friend.
I think it's a bit of a division kind of thing, you either believe one thing or you don't, and so you can sit at this table or you can sit at that table, so to speak. And I don't really like that whole idea of the world. I think as one giant community, we're much more capable of accomplishing, what we need to in the future to make this world good and reliable. We need to be reliable. And I think if people are looking to fairy tales to base their decisions on and stuff, especially people in power, that's when it gets kind of scary for me.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking frightening.
But, that being said, I think deep down, people want to believe that there's something out there. They want to believe it. And maybe it is all just hocus pocus and garbage. But there's definitely a lot of stories that I find credible and I find interesting and usually the people that are delivering the story or the encounter, they don't have anything to gain from telling me this or telling anyone this. And so that right there already makes it a credible story.
Well, see, I don't know. I'll play devil's advocate. Don't they have something to gain? Maybe they're really lonely and just, like, being able to talk to people is what they want, you know?
But that's just the thing. A lot of these people aren't lonely. They aren't, like, you know...
Aren't they? Well, how do you know, though? How do you really know what's inside someone, you know?
Well, you're absolutely right there. And, you know, there's definitely... You never really know what people...
A lot of these crazy serial killers look like normal people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. I mean, like, you never really know what people are thinking. And I think that I would like to have, you know, I'd like to give people the benefit of the doubt until they give me a reason to doubt them. And there's definitely a lot of cases out there where, you know, instantly you're like, this guy's quack. This guy's like, there's something wrong with this guy. Like, what is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
And their whole story, like, you know, they obviously drink too much, or maybe they do drugs, or maybe you're right, maybe they just want a friend, and they're just losers. But that are not in that category. Are still telling very interesting stories.
You just touched on something that it's kind of sparked something in me. What if the drugs are allowing you to see things that are there, but like you can't see them otherwise?
I think that in some ways that may be true. You know, like I've not in a long time, but you know, in my high school years, and I experimented with some hallucinogenic type of drugs.
As everyone should.
Situations where you can be completely convinced, like what you're within is real. And
who's to say it isn't?
Well, then again, like even what we're looking at now, we can't say it's for sure real. You know, and then that goes into the whole dimensional like side of things. It's like maybe you're going into a different dimension.
Yeah, that's one of my thoughts about it. Is like I'm pulling back the veil of another world, and I'm getting a brief, limited access to this fucking crazy other dimension.
Well, a lot of people say Bigfoot comes from another dimension.
That would be that. Like, if he is real and if it is all possible, I would believe that.
For me, the dimensional theory is interesting.
It's no less likely than anything else.
Well, sure. I mean, I'm not going to say that there's no way there's other dimensions, but I personally think that all the answers are in the dimension that we're in. And I think that we don't need to have other dimensions to explain why certain things happen. I think there's answers for all those things right here. It's just how we look at it. And that's maybe that has to do with dimensions. Maybe that's what another dimension is. It's just looking at it from a different perspective. But I believe it's all still here within our realm. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense?
Yes and no. I'm just like, cause like, what if the old what if again? Like, what if somebody from some other dimension came here and tweaked around with us? It didn't even have to be from another. It could be from another dimension. Could be from another planet, but came here and fucked with shit. Cause like, look at dogs, bro. Dogs are all from the same family, but there's like, and they all come from wolves. Yeah, dogs are all come from wolves, but like, okay, I see that, but like, how do you get all these crazy kind of dogs that are like nothing alike? Like, how does that happen? And how do you get like people, again, that are like nothing alike? There's like giant gingers, and there's like fucking short, meaty black guys. Sorry, go.
That's probably the first animal we started exploiting. I mean, horses is another one, but dogs is definitely one of the first animals we started using, and they started using us at the same time. You know, they would probably follow our hunting parties to like get the scraps, and it probably started like that, and eventually, you know, the people started hanging out with them, and they just like, you know, they became tame kind of, and then like certain groups that were not tame would not come and hang out with people, but the groups that did would slowly start to change over the generations. And then, of course, in very recent times is when all these other species sort of came out. You know, like we got these ancient species. You got like the Shiba Inus and stuff out in Japan. You got the dingo, of course, in Australia. Coyotes, like those are all very old.
Yeah, well, those are kind of like more, yeah, but the look of those is fairly similar. I'm more talking about like how do you get something like from like a wolf to a fucking chihuahua to a bulldog to a whatever, you know, like freakishly different animals, and they each have.
It's like it has to do with selective breeding. You know what that is?
Well, explain.
Like, basically, like they'll take sister and brother dog. They'll mate those two, and then they'll get like a weird mutant out of the clutch. Maybe like 5 or 6 of them will be totally normal, but there'll be this one that's like miniature, weird.
Yeah, because it's made out of incest.
Take that other guy. So now these guys are still brothers and sisters. They may be from different litters, but now then they'll breed those two together, and then they get some other weird little mutant dog. Maybe it's like a little smaller, a little different. Basically, it was just like hundreds and hundreds of years of experimentation like that. Now, if you look at like a German Shepherd, like 200 or 300 years ago, there was no German Shepherd. It was a wolf. Like they basically took a wolf with some modern types of dogs that were sort of like bred, had their like, you know, their wildness bred out, and then they bred them with wolves. And then they were able to get like German Shepherds and Belgian Shepherds and stuff like that. But that's all selective breeding. It's basically people deciding this dog's going to breed with this dog, and then it's all kind of trial and error. It's like an experiment almost. Like so, whatever comes out, they're like, oh, interesting, or oh, I wasn't expecting that, or I was expecting that, and that's why I bred them like that. And like, there's a lot of different like breeding going on, and most of the small species like chihuahuas and all these little things. That's all happened probably in the last few hundred years. Whereas the original old world dogs were like, you know, the followers of like the hunter parties, I believe. They were much more like wolves. They looked a lot more like wolves and still held those wild traits. And it wasn't until recent times, probably a lot in Asia and in parts of the Mediterranean countries and stuff is where they probably started doing a lot of this experimental breeding.
Now, okay, going on that idea, is it not possible that we, human beings, could have been made the same way?
Well, I don't think made. I think that it probably happened naturally, and that what happened was all the different types of hominid species that were around, say, in the last 300,000-400,000 years, maybe 1 million years, let's say, the selective breeding that went on within them is what created all these new types of people that eventually kind of boiled down to the group of Homo sapiens. So our DNA is also very similar, but really there is a lot of differences when you look at the outside of our skin and stuff. You know, we obviously have very different types of people. You got huge people, and you got small people. And I think a lot of that is genetically from all these hominids basically having a bang off.
Well, I'm saying, like, you know how, like, you said, yeah, we took these dogs and we did stuff. What if someone took us, like, our ancestors, whatever variety of hominid, whether they're like Neanderthal or whatever came before Gigantopithecus or whatever it was. What if someone was rounding up all these varieties of ape-like man creatures or whatever the fuck we were, and then started like being like, all right, make these two fuck each other, and then make them fuck them, and these guys. Yeah, what if like some other people were here and made a controlled breeding out of us, and that's why we're really here? Was that not possible? That seems very possible. It seems like the exact thing that we are doing to dogs.
I was asking Giorgio Tsoukalos that the other day. Like, I guess it was in a podcast on the summer or whatever. But I thought it was a very interesting thing. That was the first time I'd ever really thought about it when I heard him mention it.
Ancient aliens.
Yeah, Giorgio. That's great.
Yeah.
But, he's crazy, but he's great.
Yeah, he's out of his mind.
Giorgio, just to say, is that he's very open-minded. He's not telling you how it is.
I don't know, isn't he? Isn't he saying? Well, he's not saying it. He's not saying it is. He's saying, what if it was aliens?
He's gotten to a point now where he's really like, he's much more open-minded about possibilities, and it's like if something is one way, he's not going to be like, oh, it's like this for sure or whatever, because there's always that possibility that it's going to be completely like debunked.
Well, I missed that. What were they talking about on that podcast? Because I don't remember hearing them talk about dogs and man.
Podcast, but that's what he mentioned. He mentioned the possibility of like why it's so interesting that people are similar to like, you know, dogs are the only other species where you can have like a Chihuahua and like a German Shepherd. And these are the exact words, I believe. And then he said something about like Shaquille O'Neal and like some little midget creature or whatever. I don't know what he was talking about.
Vern Troyer.
And I thought it was really interesting because I'd never really thought about that fact. Like that it is true. But I also think that it could have happened naturally. I don't think that it needs like they were referring to like an alien coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Bigfoot, and then like taking like an alien and then making like a hybrid, and then basically people were like the hybrids of Bigfoot and aliens.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's a beautiful story, and I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I don't think that's the case personally. However, if it's like one of those things, if the genetics came out tomorrow where it was like, oh, we're half alien, half Bigfoot, I wouldn't be.
But what does that even mean, half alien, half Bigfoot? Because, like, what if aliens are just like us? You know what I'm saying? Like, again, it's like this hubris that man has created where it's like, we are the penultimate, and, like, you know what I mean? Like, this, and it's like, it goes against those people that are, like, hating on, like, cryptozoology and all these, like, unknown fields. Like, they want to claim, like, absolute knowledge that it can't be. And, like, my whole thing is anything can be, and nothing can be. But like, it's, you know, like I like the what ifs. I like to believe, like, you know, in these fucking Bigfoots and Sasquatches, and the idea that maybe we are some kind of maids. We were created like dogs were created, you know, by some other dudes who came here. Because like,
it's a very interesting theory, and like I said, it's not something that I would completely rule out. Say like that's impossible. That's for sure, because it is possible, and the scientific, physical, you know, possibilities are there. That could be the case, but there is no real evidence of it, and it's very.
That is true.
It's like it's a controversial thing, you know. Like it'd be very like hard for a lot of people to accept that.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's much more likely that a giant white guy with a big old beard who sleeps in the clouds is controlling everything. That's so much more plausible.
Yeah, well, I definitely don't believe that myself.
I know. I'm
believe that.
I'm being an asshole.
They believe in Noah's Ark, and, you know, he got every single species of animal.
Yeah, and did you know, like, Noah apparently lived to be, like, 900 or something? Because, like, back in the day, people lived that long.
Yeah, I think we also grew, like, 9 feet, too.
Oh, it's so ridiculous. When it's actually been proven, yeah, that, like, people were much smaller.
Event, you know, I mean, there probably was a giant flood.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Maybe there was this one guy that helped his village, and his name was Noah.
Yeah, well, yeah, like, it's all just Aesop's fables, you know? It's all Aesop's fables, you know?
Well, that's just the thing, is like, even, like, fables probably have, like, a hint of truth to them.
Yeah, exactly. It's all derived from something. Like, oh, I'm going to take this and base it on this, you know? It's like, we still make movies saying based on a true story, you know?
Yeah, but of course it's completely glorified.
Yeah.
And
well, like,
you do the story again, like 10 years later, in a new movie with the same name.
Zero Dark 30 just came out, right?
And then the original story gets lost.
Did you see Zero Dark 30 yet?
No, not yet, but I've been hearing good things about it.
Yeah, but, like, I mean, that's another thing where, like, do you believe what they're telling you? Or do you... Because, like, there's been multiple... Some people say, oh, Bin Laden's been dead for years. And, like, now, like, you know, they're putting this goddamn movie out I don't know. I thought the movie was fun, but I thought it was all bullshit. Like, I don't believe that's what really happened or any of that.
Well, what's weird about that is, like, the whole team is, like, dead now.
Yeah. Very interesting. A lot of, like, almost everyone's being killed off.
Yeah, that's weird. I'll be honest with you, though.
That's not mentioned in the film.
Need to be, like, pondering what's going on in, like, the giant government, like, agencies. Like, to be honest with you, I don't even really think about it. I know it's probably horrible, and I just try to stay away from it as much as possible because I don't really care, to be honest with you. For me, it's like the nukes started dropping tomorrow. Like, I have my game plan. I'm ready.
Die?
So I'm not worried about that. I feel bad for people that are scared of that because, you know, they live their whole life in fear. And, I don't know.
Hold on.
It creates this fear.
What is your game plan? I want to know what your game plan is when the nukes come.
Oh no, dude, come on, man! I can't give out my whole plan. If I did that, then my plan wouldn't work.
All right. Well, what can you give me?
Get that out on the airwaves. You know, you and I will have a conversation about it sometime.
Okay.
Over
All right.
Or something.
Well, I'm on the West Coast. Like, my thoughts are to get on a boat somewhere and, like, find a small island up on the side of Vancouver, British Columbia here.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. Like, where you are, man, is the best place. In fact, that would probably be my ultimate end plan. Like, once I get through the first part of it, because, like, where I'm situated, you know, in a giant city like this, it's going to be hard to get out.
Yeah, man. I'm just going to be holding down the Rogan compound, man. I'm holding down the Rogan compound till he gets up here.
Yeah, it'll be fine, man. We'll be able to. There's lots of places people can go. Lots of places, like, I mean, we're lucky living in Canada. You know, it's incredible, the vastness of space that we have. And if we need to survive, it's not hard to survive out there. There is plenty of resources.
Oh yeah,
You can live good.
Did you hear that's one of the ways they're planning on trying to, like, now, like, make a bigger effort to find Bigfoot is that they're gonna send because, you know, the U.S. has tons of these fucking predator drones just lying around, so they're just gonna send a whole bunch flying over the Pacific Northwest.
Oh yeah, I've heard about stuff like that.
Yeah, and, like, try and scan the area. I don't know how good their cameras are or what they think they'll pick up, like, because, like, I don't know.
These cameras will make you shit your pants, man. They're fucking amazing.
So, like, well, they're saying, like, it could put an end to whether it's really out there. What do you think?
You can see a guy in the leaf litter, like a 10-cent piece you can see in the leaf litter from these things, like, down through the forest. Like, it's incredible what they see.
So do you think if they make a
everything?
Do you think if they make a pass it'll find it?
I don't know. I mean, they've definitely sent a few things out like that. I don't know if the one you're talking about right now, but I know that they did do, like, a FLIR experiment where they sent out, like, a couple of guys with some remote control. Like, they weren't, like, predator drones or anything, but they were a couple of remote control, like, helicopters or something like that. They were very quiet, or, like, planes. They were, like, really silent.
Quadrocopters?
Pretty cool, you know, like a cool idea, but they didn't catch anything, but they did see, like, deer and stuff like that, and, like, the detail on them was just amazing. So if there was anything out there, they would have seen it. But, of course, it was just a small area. It wasn't like, you know, I mean, that's the thing. It's limiting. Like, how can you go out and say, okay, I'm going to look at all the Pacific Northwest right now? You can't. It'll take you years. Years.
Well, that's why they have the drones. That's why they're going to set these drones. We're talking creepy crawlies and all things that go bump in the night. And, well, no, we're talking cryptozoology. Cryptozoology. Animals long thought hidden, but then soon discovered. The Ice Age bat survives in New Guinea. Yeah. I heard you boys is looking for Bigfoot. You won't find Bigfoot in there, boy. All you find is trouble. I'm gonna try try and get Moose back on the line here, folks. This is what we do here on Coast to Coast FM with Biff Sweetwater and Moose Davies. Welcome to Coast FM.
Hello?
Yo, are you back?
Yeah, my phone, died on me. I didn't even, I wasn't watching the beep thing. Anyway, it's plugged in right now. Why don't you give me, 10 minutes and then call me back?
10 minutes and then call you back? All right.
Is that cool?
Yeah. I figured that's what it was. Your phone died.
Yeah. No, just let it juice up a bit, and then once it has, a little bit of juice, it'll stay on. I'll leave it plugged into the computer. I wasn't watching it.
Well, why don't you just leave it plugged? Can't you just leave it plugged in like this, and we can keep going?
Yeah, I can. I need to go grab a pack of smokes or something.
Oh, okay. All right.
Cut that out of the podcast.
Yeah, don't worry. All right.
Give me 10 minutes.
All right, I'll call you back in 10.
All right, cool.
Later. Hi. Pick up your phone already, man. You want to check. Maybe have a phone. I want to do a podcast. You want to talk to me.
Hello, you've reached Patrick. Please leave me a message and I'll return your call as soon as I can. Thanks.
At the tone, please record your message. When you are finished recording, you may hang up or press pound for more options.
Do you know who? Goodbye. Hello. Are you there, Moose? Moose, are you there?
I'm here.
Sweet.
I'm here. Sorry about that.
No worries. Smoke break. We took a smoke break. I had a pee. I took a pee.
Had to grab some peanuts.
Yeah, some peanuts. Some penis. I mean, what? Yeah, some warm peanuts.
Penis.
Hot fresh penis.
Hey, don't forget the P in there, you know. Penis.
Oh, whoa. Yeah. Dude, we got 27 minutes left of recording. What is the craziest thing about cryptozoology to you? We've covered a lot on Bigfoot. Let's try and other than Bigfoot.
Well, I mean, you got to define crazy, because it's all crazy.
Well, okay. What's one thing that's again other than Bigfoot that's really in the field of cryptozoology that's stuck out to you or that you found incredibly fascinating? The most interesting thing, the most interesting story to you, other than that, obviously.
I mean, I think that a lot of it is really kind of stupid. If we go over the Thunderbird or
Phantom cats,
whatever. That's if somebody people believe that there's this big pterodactyl bird or something. I personally think that could be an owl. That could be I mean, if you've ever seen a hawk, a red-tailed, we get a lot of red-tailed hawks around here, and often I'm out watching them, and they're big. I mean, they're not a small little animal. They're huge. Their wingspan is longer than me. So something like that coming at you or flying over you kind of close could definitely scare the shit out of you. So I think a lot of those stories are just animals that already exist. So as far as the craziest thing, there's kind of we can break that into the different categories. I would say the craziest thing for me is all those fanatics out there that aren't educated enough to know what they're seeing. And they're describing these insane stories about whatever when it's obviously something that is probably easily explained. And so that's crazy for me. I think people that would go out on a limb to say, oh, I saw this or I saw that, when like there's a perfectly logical explanation for it. I think that's kind of crazy. I also, and if you're saying crazy, like as if interesting.
Yeah, for interesting wise.
Like, I mean, I would say there's a lot of things I find interesting. I find and you said aside from Bigfoot, of course, right?
Yeah. Well, I think we've covered Bigfoot pretty well here.
Well, I do find it interesting, like some of the stories about, like some of these, maybe not dinosaurs, but like these unknown creatures, like in deep jungles of like the in the Congo and Cameroon. There's a lot of stories about that dinosaur type creature that lives in the water, and I don't have a lot of. It's like mostly in the water all the time, as we've sort of seen. I don't have a lot of info on that myself personally, but I do find that interesting. I find that interesting because the scientific possibilities are there. But I also think that maybe these guys are seeing something that is already explainable, and it just doesn't seem normal to them, so they describe it as something else.
Yeah. There's a lot of those giants, like the sea monster thing, right? Like where it's stuck in a lake somewhere. There's a lot of that.
They found a giant squid, like that was always a myth. Now they found squids like 35, 40 feet long, even longer.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. The giant squid was just a thing of fiction. I mean, it's often used, but it was a thing of fiction for the longest time until they actually like saw a gigantic fucking squid.
Yeah, I actually find that one really interesting. Like, I find the whole giant squid thing really cool because it's like, well, it's a giant fucking squid, like squids on their own. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen like little squids out there, like.
Oh yeah.
They're pretty cool animals, like the way they change colors and everything like that. They're so interesting, and they're also incredibly smart. So
yeah, I think I mix them up with octopi sometimes, or an octopus and singular.
Well, they are related, right? They're
Have you seen the video of the one that climbs out of the water?
Oh, what the octopus does?
Yeah, that's what it was. It wasn't the squid. It was the octopus. The octopus that like goes out of the water, crosses like across like the ground, and then goes into this other fucking tank.
Yeah, it's definitely really cool.
It's bizarre as fuck. It's like it's in the water. It's a water creature, and then it leaves the water, walks on land, and then goes back into some other water source, like a different like it had a plan or a path. It was very, very disturbing to see that. I was like, what if this thing decides to walk up on like to the beach, and fucking take us down?
Well, it's known like that they're incredibly smart. Like they know that their brain power is extremely high. Like they're able to like figure stuff out. They've had them in experiments like in the tanks and stuff where they'll give them like one little way out or something, and they have to like figure it all out to get out, and like they do it in a second. Like it's like the easiest thing for them, and they're incredibly smart. They're really intelligent animals, and I think a lot of people don't realize like how many ocean creatures are geniuses.
I think a lot of people don't realize how quick we are to having Sharktopus becoming a reality.
Sharktopus?
Have you seen that?
No, was it a movie or something?
Oh yeah, dude, you gotta Google shark.
God, seriously?
Google Sharktopus.
Shit that fucks everything up.
I know, yeah.
19 videos about people actually finding the Sharktopus, and it's like, what the fuck?
Dude, you'll laugh your ass off. Go YouTube Sharktopus, man. It's the funniest thing in the world.
Alright, I'm gonna do that right now, actually. I gotta see this.
I think it's like some kind of like 100-foot tall like shark octopus thing.
That's ridiculous.
It is. It's completely. And you're right. It's like stuff like that ruins like the real things for people.
Yeah, it's not good, like. Sorry about that.
Mute that shit, son.
It's not good, like when you have fiction mixing with the actual. I don't like to use the word fact. I mean, I use it, but I use it loosely. I mean, anything that's a fact today can not be a fact tomorrow, possibly. So, you have to keep an open mind, especially in this type of like world, the crypto world. And I think that there's just a lot of people out there making fun and having fun, and that's great, you know. But I think it's at the expense of a lot of people that have put their life's work into like just trying to find these things. And you know, some of them people have found, you know, they have found the giant squid, and there are other animals like I can't list off the top of my head. I mean, a good one is actually the ivory-billed woodpecker. You know, this thing's supposed to have gone extinct like 100 years ago, and you know, they still haven't actually gotten a specimen, but it is agreed upon in the ornithological world that they are not extinct, and that they actually still do exist.
And the
calls and stuff like that, and it's really interesting. There was a picture, I believe.
There's a the coelacanth as well. Remember that, bro?
Yeah. Well, see, that was supposed to be extinct for millions of years, and then they found it.
Till it jumped up onto a fisherman's boat.
Well, I think they got him in a net or something. There's all kinds of stories about how they got it, but now they've actually found them alive. They sent out a team a few years ago to go find them, and they found them in this cave, and they were in there like swimming in this cave. It was awesome.
Yeah, they just live deep in the sea and like don't have any light, but like I guess somehow wandered up to the top.
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh, dude, I'm reading this thing. There's something in Phuket in Thailand.
Yeah.
Again, who knows if these things are real, people? But like, let's take it for what it says. A mysterious giant tracks appeared overnight on Friday, December 14th, on Koh Mai Pai, aka Bamboo Island, just north of Phi Phi, emerging from the forest, going through the local school, and then into the sea, leaving students, parents, and teachers worrying that they were made by some enormous serpent. It looks weird, dude. You have a better knowledge of reptiles than I do, but like, it's these weird circular, and it's rows of two. It's like 2 by 2. There's like little circles.
I'm looking at it now, and it doesn't, like a snake would not leave that print.
Yeah, it doesn't look like snake-like to me.
But
it could be some mystery fucking monster. If it's real, or it's just bullshit. Each circle is 20 centimeters in diameter.
No, it's not from a serpent, though. It can't be a serpent. I'd have to like do a little more research, like on what types of creatures live there. It almost looks like maybe a tortoise or a turtle could have done it.
Local experts estimated that the serpent that made the tracks must be at least 15 meters long.
Well, I wouldn't rule out the possibility of a snake being that big.
No.
But I would not expect it to leave a track like that. It would be a smooth track. You wouldn't see any scaling like that. Although it's hard to say. Like, there are some pythons and boas, and like the way they kind of inch along the mud, like they kind of inch along with their belly scales, kind of. But like if you watch like a collar-bridge snake, or even like a venomous type snake, like a viper, the way they kind of move is usually a little more like slithery.
Yeah.
The heavy-bodied snakes, they kind of cruise along in a straight line.
Yeah, that's exactly what someone was writing below this article. Someone said that. They're like, nah, these are not serpent tracks. And you're right. A snake does not move like that. This looks too mechanical.
It looks like a tortoise or a turtle or something to me. Like,
yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, you never know with this stuff, right? This could just be more, like you're saying, someone's having fun, right? It could be like trolling or whatever.
To have fun and make those tracks like a long distance like that that's tough work, you know. It's like you got to be consistent, you know. It could also just be a person who did that.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Someone's just fucking around.
It is weird.
It is a weird thing.
It's too weird for me to say, "Oh yeah, it could be that." Like, it's too weird. I mean, I try to look out for stuff like that, where it's like first of all, if I could be there and look at the tracks firsthand, I might be able to give more of a determination as to what caused them. But oftentimes, it's probably people. I'd say it's probably like a person did it, and if it is an animal, it's probably like a tortoise or a turtle or something like that, dragging itself along. And of course, like the flat bottom foot of the turtle might leave a little print like that, but even then, I don't think it would look quite like that. It would look a little different.
Yeah, you know what? That was another one of those animals that they didn't believe was real for a long time, too, was a turtle. I was reading about it earlier. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Hone Kiem turtle? The Hone, Hoankiem turtle. Hone Kiem. In Latin, it is the Raphitis leiloia. It is a controversial taxon of turtle from the Southeast Asia, with one known living specimen in Hon Kiem Lake in Vietnam. This individual is affectionately known as Kura, meaning great-grandfather in Vietnamese.
Wow. He's a very interesting animal. He looks like a seal.
Yeah.
That's an interesting animal.
And yeah, again,
Here too. I've seen him like up in the lakes.
not thought to be real.
Well, there's also a giant stingray or something in those like rivers in China. It was all like a myth, but then that guy Wade, Jeremy Wade, the fisherman guy, he caught one, and it was like absolutely gigantic, man, like huge. It's got to be like 6-7 feet wide, like huge. And he actually caught it, and so it's not a myth. There's definitely a lot of stuff out there that is still yet to be found. And I think that's like the first thing we got to remember is like the world is still quite vast. There's a lot of parts of it we have not explored, and I think a lot of people sitting at their home, like looking at the internet, and they just assume like we've been everywhere. We've been everywhere, and we haven't. There's a lot of places we haven't been.
I know, yeah. Those are the places I want to go.
Well, you're not far, man. Like where you are, you just got to go like a little bit north, and like no one's been there, man. No.
Yeah, it's kind of cold. I was thinking more like tropical places.
That's the hard thing, though. In the tropical places, it's harder to find places that haven't been explored. I mean, there are a few places, like, I mean, in the Amazon especially, northern parts of the Amazon, like, no one's really been in there. There's certain valleys and stuff that, like, you know, even tribal people never really accessed, so they're just not there.
Or you could go there and then never return.
Exactly. Who knows?
Dude, I seen like, I don't know, maybe they have been identified, but I saw things in Costa Rica that were crazy to me, dude. Like these kinds of spiders that I'd never seen before, and I've still like tried to identify them, but I haven't found the exact one that I saw, like in a book yet.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about a place like Costa Rica. It's such a huge like cosm of animals that, you know, the idea that the chance of finding something new is very high, and they're discovering new stuff there all the time. The problem is they don't have really like the funding to really go out there and log all these animals. I mean, you could probably go out there and every day find a new species of ant. Every day.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and like, I mean, that is technically in the field of cryptozoology, even though like people like to just think of the crazier animals, you know, like the Sasquatches and the Loch Ness monsters and things.
Well, see, that's where I would not put Sasquatch in that category of the crazy ones.
Sorry. I don't. But you know, to a lot of people, it is.
Like Loch Ness, I don't really believe in Loch Ness. I don't really believe in a lot of those, you know, plesiosaur-type dinosaur creatures that have lived since the dinosaur times. I don't don't really believe that it's possible. I mean, the amount of geological change that has happened in the last 65 million years, I don't think would allow something like that to still survive. I mean, maybe a smaller species of one somewhere, but in a lake somewhere like that, like, I don't think so. I mean, most of Loch Ness, I think during the last ice age, was either frozen over or it was not even there. You know, so it's hard to say.
Yeah,
The history of Loch Ness. I know a lot of lakes here in North America, they didn't even exist until, like, 10,000 years ago. So, I mean, Lake Ontario only developed, like, 10,000 years ago. It wasn't even here. It was a giant lake called Lake Iroquois. It was a huge lake, and it was south of this huge glacier that was, like, a mile thick. And eventually it broke free and poured out into the ocean through, like, Chesapeake Bay and stuff like that. And then they created what was left over of the ice shelf that melted down into the lakes, Lake Superior, Lake Huron, all those lakes. They were only 10,000 years old. So the amount of fish and everything that are living in those lakes, they're all species that have developed in the last 10,000 years, basically. So it's pretty interesting to think that things can change so rapidly on this planet. And for me to believe that certain species like the plesiosaurs, I just don't think it's possible. But, I mean, there is, there's always a chance. Bigfoot, however, there's a big chance. And that's why I tend to do most of my research lately on that subject.
Yeah, I wish I fucking could find me a Bigfoot. I think we'd get along well. It'd be like a Harry and the Hendersons kind of a thing.
Yeah, I think, like, maybe that happens. Maybe there are people that live out in the woods and they have relationships with these things, and they're buddies and they help each other out, and, like, they hunt together maybe. You never know. It's possible. And, like, I'll tell you right now, if I found one, or, I have a few places I go up north that I like, and nobody goes there. Like, when I go there, I'm alone. Like, I'm not running into anyone, and I know that I'm not going to run into anyone. And if I did run into anyone, it would be really, like, a surprise. So if I met myself like a Bigfoot, that'd be cool. I'd go out there and, like, party with them all the time.
What if the little hobbit men were out there, too?
That thing's probably alive, That orang pendek thing's probably alive. Some people associate that with the actual Homo floresiensis or whatever it is. And some people believe that it's actually they're one and the same. There's a lot of scientists that don't, but there's a lot of scientists that do. So it's a very, like, hotly debated subject at this point. But I think in the next few years, or maybe even months, they're going to come up with some evidence that's going to be indisputable, I think, with regards to the orang pendek. But the Bigfoot, I think, will elude us for a long time. I don't think we'll really find him for many years. It'll probably take, it'll be one of those things where, like, a logging company will go in and they'll rip out this whole new area, and then all of a sudden they'll find him. It'll be like one of those things. Like, eventually they're just not going to have anywhere else to hide, I guess. And you look at it that way, but it's hard. I mean, the forests that we cut down, behind the ones that, where we cut down before, they're regrowing. And you go up to, like, I mean, even, you remember when we were younger, we used to go to that place we call, like, Evermore or whatever, right, down in that valley.
Evermore.
I was down there the other day, dude, and those little trees, like, that were little when we were young, they're not so little anymore. They're huge. They're, like, at least 10, 20 feet higher.
Yeah, it's been, like, 15 fucking years.
Yeah, it is 15 years, but in 15 years, it's incredible how much the forest can reclaim.
Yeah, and that's like a manicured forest too. That's like that's like government, like, somebody comes through there at some point. Maybe they don't go into the trees, but they cut the grass and stuff. Yeah, like living in the jungle, I noticed that too, man. Like, we'd go out and cut some undergrowth, and, like, the jungle reclaims everything, man.
Oh yeah, it's the jungle is much faster because it's that tropical climate.
Yeah,
but even up here, our growing season is still good. And I mean, a lot of our trees, like, they make up for that winter by growing hugely rapid growth during the growing season. So you get these, like, willow trees. They cut this willow tree down across the street or whatever, and then they left the stump, and a new tree grew out of that thing within a couple of years. And it's like, now it's like, it's not gigantic like it used to be, but it's a lot bigger than you would ever expect in a couple of years of growth. So it reminds you that there's still so many places that even after we cut it down, it comes back. And so they could be smart, you know, they could be smart, and maybe they watch us and they know how our pattern is, and they know they can go to certain areas because we're not going to go back there, and, you know, maybe they know. Who knows?
Yeah, like, I think people might be selling them short. They could be a lot smarter than people think they are.
Oh, I think anyone that's studying them really closely definitely thinks they're extremely smart. And I think there's, if you know, like, Dr. Meldrum, he's out of, like, I believe, Idaho State University, I believe. He's an anthropologist, and he fully believes that they exist. And he's a very credited scientist. In fact, even a lot of the, like, Jane Goodall even believes that.
Oh, yeah, she's, yeah, sorry, yeah.
I was reading that recently, like, something that she was writing about, like, all the possibilities of how she really thinks that there's, like, it's probably out there. And she's visited the Northwest, I believe, and seen how the forest is, and seen, like, the types of food that it would need. And she said, without a doubt, if not just possible, she thinks it probably is there. And you got all these scientists that are, like, serious scientists, anthropology, and when it comes to just apes, and even right down to the prosimians, like lemurs and stuff like that. There's, like, people that study that stuff, most of them, when they look into the issue, they come out of it being believers. And there's actually new DNA evidence. Who knows when it's really going to come out, but there's been some releases in the last couple months about how this team, led by this woman, I believe her is Melba Ketchum, Dr. Melba Ketchum.
Melba Ketchum.
And she came up with this DNA, I guess, study that she had a whole bunch of different teams, I guess, like studied these samples that she had acquired, and who knows, like, where she got them from, whatever. And a lot of the stuff is very, like, kept quiet right now, and I think a lot of people had to sign, like, non-disclosure agreements and stuff like that. And so you're not getting a lot of info right now, but I think in the, you know, in the months to come, we're going to get a lot more info about this DNA study that they did. And what they basically found is, they found in these samples that it was almost a human, and there was just these slight traits that were a little bit different. And what that led her to believe was that probably, now this is where I have a problem with it, she believes that something like 15 or 20,000 years ago, a species split off from us, and that's what these guys are. And maybe that's possible, but 15 or 20,000 years just doesn't seem like enough time to create, like, a Bigfoot-type creature from us.
Well, that's what...
What lives out there is a small little man that looks a lot like us. It's just maybe they're wearing furs. Maybe they're, like, you know, maybe it's not their actual hair. Like, maybe they're hairless like us. Because if they came from us, like, 20,000 years ago, like, I'm pretty sure that we were already hairless apes at that point. And I think that if we evolved from then to now, being almost the same, I don't think that there would have been a break off. That, like, I personally think it would have had to be, like, at least, like, a few like, thousand years, like, you know, 50, 60,000 years minimal for something like that, or maybe even more. And it's I don't know. But apparently there's this DNA evidence now, and it exists, and it's like this real evidence.
Yeah, I've heard about that. We got to look it up. Dude, we got to wrap it up. We got 60 seconds here. Can you just throw out how people can find you?
Yeah, well, you can definitely you can look me up on you can just look up Moose Davies right on on Google, and that could come up. You could also just look up powderhoof.com. That's just sort of the band website right now. We're going to be revamping that with some more information and stuff like that. It just has some band stuff on there, which is currently also coming out with some new stuff too. So we'll see what happens. But you can reach me there, or you can find me on Twitter. I'm not sure. You probably know what my Twitter is.
At Moose Davies?
Yeah, that's the one. And yeah, people can find me there, no problem. And I'd love to hear if anybody's got any stories or anything like that. I always love to gather as much as I can.
I'm going to put a link to all your stuff, too. It was awesome having you here. Thank you so much, and we got to do this again soon. All right, y'all. That was me. That was Moose. That was it, y'all. I hope y'all had fun. I hope y'all had fun. Y'all have fun? I had fun. I hope y'all have fun. We're going to rock out with our cocks out now. All right, so go eat your fucking pineapples. Take your magnesium pills. Shoot those big, healthy, frothy loads all over those people that you love the most. And I'll see y'all next week, motherfuckers.
Recollect upon your years.